Hello, today I'm preparing some chicken noodle soup, which this recipe came from the Shred Revolution book by Dr. Ian Smith. This recipe calls for 1.5 cups of wide egg noodles, which I've already cooked here and I have them strained and ready to go in. 1 tablespoon of butter, which I have melting right now in the pot. What I'm about to do is throw in 1/2 cup of chopped onion, 1/2 cup of chopped celery, 3/4 cup sliced carrots, 1.5 cups of diced cooked chicken, which I already prepared by way of George Foreman grill, so it doesn't have any grease or anything and no oils or anything like that. 6 cups of chicken broth. Right here there's only just 4, but I have to pour again to make the 6. There's going to be another 1.5 cups of fluid, which is going to be this vegetable broth here that I have. And I need to have 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil. So it's going to be 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil. Going to put some oregano leaves in and some poultry season. It calls for a teaspoon of that, but that proved to be a little bit too strong, so I'm going to use a little bit less of that. So the butter is boiling now, so I want to get those vegetables thrown in real quick to get those sauteed up. So in goes the onion and celery. Stirring that in really well. Gonna turn my fire down a little bit, or my heat down a little bit, so as not to cook it too fast. So I'm going to give that a minute or two to saute a bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that the carrots and celery are nice and tender, I'm going to go ahead and add my carrots. And what I've done here is I've added more carrots than the recipe calls for. Hopefully that won't be my undoing with this soup. But I really like carrots a lot, and I don't think it's going to cause too much problem. So I'm going to let that simmer a little bit. Be sure not to overcook the onion and celery. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the 6 cups of chicken broth and the 1.5 cups of vegetable broth. First the chicken broth. Stir that in really well. Okay, all the vegetable broth is in. All the chicken broth is in. Now for my 1.5 cups of vegetable broth. I also need to add 1/4 cup of water. And then come my spices. Okay, I have my 1/2 teaspoon of dried basil, 1/2 teaspoon of oregano going in, and then a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. So what I'm doing is, instead of doing an entire teaspoon, I'm just going to put 1/2 teaspoon of poultry seasoning, because there's pepper in the poultry seasoning, and I got some feedback before that the pepper, it was just too strong. The peppery flavor was just too strong in the soup. So it just really depends on your taste. And I have a flexible palate, so it doesn't really matter that much to me if there's a little bit less poultry seasoning in there. Alright, so this is how it looks before it's actually boiling. As you can see, the color's changed a bit from all the different fluids and spices that have gone in so far. So after adding those ingredients, I'm actually going to one of the things I left out was adding the chicken. I need to add the chicken now, so I'm going to do that. Here's the chopped chicken right here. I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Stir it in. Get it stirred in. So as you can see, we've got a foundation here that looks really, really good. It looks like it's going to be delicious, scrumdiddlyumptious, and definitely something that's not going to be like what you get out of a can. So, you know, I have cooked this before, and it is delicious. So do give it a shot, especially if you're on the shred diet. It works really well for those snack time meals and those other meals that are included in the regimen. So give that a shot. Alright, so once everything is in, you just bring it all to a boil and then, you know, reduce the heat and let it simmer for 15 minutes. And then once you've done that, it's pretty much ready to serve. So, and this will last you quite some time for one person. It lasted me a couple of weeks, so you might want to freeze some of it unless you know you're gonna go through it. Sorry about the dogs. Unless you know you're gonna get through it pretty quickly. So, anyway, that's it. Bon appetit.